Hello, everybody. Welcome to an amazing council in the Jena FullDome Festival. Yes, this is the Jena FullDome Festival, and I'm very pleased and thrilled and privileged to have assembled a group of people which I really like to hang out with, no matter if it's a festival or not festival. But for the time being, we have people that really contribute to the art of the dome being a performance space. It's great to have a 360-degree canvas that holds amazing imagery and even three-dimensional sound. But it's also great if artists come and say, hey, I'm a live guy. I want to do something that uses this performance space as a performance space. And so these are people that we are going to listen to their stories today that are deeply involved in this field or who are motivated to get involved in this field. And both are welcome because in the Jena FullDome Festival, we've really made it a point to encourage performing artists, immersive artists, sound artists, dancers, fantasts, to explore and really make the dome their home. So that was the introduction to all of you thousands who are now watching and listening to the second council in the Jena FullDome Festival. And before we get into individual presentations, I'd like to just do a little roll call and welcome and greet the amazing people that are assembled today for their own pleasure and entertainment and instruction. I start with Pedro Zas, VJ Zas in Brazil. Is he there?
Yes, hello.
Okay, that was a clear signal. Thank you, Pedro Zas, for being there and saying hello. I move up from South America to North America, and I ask Kelly Francis, are you there in Arizona, dreaming?
Yes, greetings, hello. Howdy from Arizona.
Very good, thank you, Kelly. Now we are moving to the German town of Kassel, which is where Robert Koch is now probably waving to us.
Yes,
Robert.
indeed.
He does.
Hi,
Robert, shall we call you Koch or Koch or something?
Oh, it's fine. It's either way. It's depending on where you're from. In German, Koch would be appropriate. Americans would probably say Koch or Coke. You know, there's many ways to do this.
Okay, we take your multi-option last name and you can choose whichever you prefer. Yeah. We prefer Robert, that's good.
Okay, yeah, just call me Robert.
Now, moving up from Kassel to the magnificent harbor town of Hamburg in Germany, we welcome Sven Meyer. Hello, Sven.
Hello, everybody. I got my safety glasses and I'm ready for everything.
Okay, we'll get to ask you about everything.
Okay.
Going a little down the map to Weimar, I welcome my precious colleague, Kate Ledina.
Oh, hi, everybody.
Okay, Kate, now that you see her, there's good reasons why she co-hosts the show because she's very attentive and she may think of questions that I couldn't dream of, but she will ask those. And so we will guide you through the show together. Thank you, Kate. And now we are going to the northernmost tip of our council, which is in Denmark. And I welcome Martin Holland from the Den Sorteskole. Martin, are you there?
Oh, I'm here, yeah.
He's here. And actually, I remember that background from when we met in Frankfurt, and I'm excited to hear more of you. Good. So.
You forgot me, Mickey.
Hey, Delia. No. Why am I so...
I sneaked into the meeting.
I'm so glad you are so self-confident to say I'm so happy you are here because I kind of, okay.
I think I was after Robert.
Blame on me, fame on you. Delia de France, live from Berlin, right?
Good to see you.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Can you see through Zoom that I'm really blushing now?
A little bit.
Okay, put some color correction. Anyway, I won't forget that Delia de France is number 4 on our list in the order in which people present. So we know that you'll come on number 4. Please, Robert, no. Now I'm getting all confused. I want to return to Brazil. Pedro Zas, from the many people that I know in the immersive FullDome scene, you're the one that I know for the longest, and also know that you're performing professionally for, I don't know, decades in the field. So I would want to give the stage to Vijay Zas, and we'll hear from him. And while he's performing, please, everybody else, please mute your microphone so that it's all for Pedro.
Hello, 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 everybody. Let me welcome you to my digital world. Hello, there you are. Special pandemic times, special measurements. So I'm gonna introduce you to myself, a little bit of my work and what I have been doing in the dome world all these years, but I'm gonna make it really quick because it's only 5 minutes. Okay, so should we jump to my TV room? Because you know my house, it's really a mansion. We're talking about millions of dollars, right? So let's go to the TV room. You don't need to do anything. 1, 2, there you go. That's my TV room. I really like this TV room. It's a special one because a lot of the images that you see behind, it's stuff that I have been doing around the world, which is quite fun. I'm going to show you the logo of my team, the United VJs, that I'm really proud of. And this was a show that we did in GAFA, Guangzhou Academy of Fine Arts. And that's when I realized that when we went to China, that we are all the same. We just a bunch of kids want to make cool content to impress whoever, you know. So I think it's really exciting that we are now in a place in the world that we all can come across and speak the same language somehow. This was a video that I shot a few years ago, talking about 10 years ago, when everything was different, you know, and it was really fun. Was the making of Confusion, one of our first FullDome pieces that we introduced in the festival, FullDome Festival, which are, you know, as everyone knows, is a really special place. This is a show we did in Rio de Janeiro, which was in the biggest planetarium in South America, 23 meters. So it's like loads of people, hundreds of people every day. It was really exciting. And I can show you some other stuff that I think you're going to enjoy. This was Liquid Sound Festival, because we not only do domes, we also do spa parties, you know, and Mickey invited me to come and do this show, which, as you can tell, have some spheres, and I project dome content in the spheres. So yes, the dome content is not just restricted for a dome. You can also invert it and play it in a sphere. I was really fun event. I was there with Kelly, who's also in this call, and it was a really exciting time of my life because I was VJing with a swimming suit. Now I'm going to show you one show that I did, which I think it's pretty awesome, in Brasilia. This is a massive dome. We're talking about 64 meters, you know, so as you can tell, you know, it's huge. I have a pointer, look at that. And it has a little lake on the bottom. It reflects and becomes a full sphere. Of course, you know, don't get overexcited. It's not a dome inside. It's just the shape of a dome outside. And of course, we had to play content, dome content in this spectacular show, you know, and it was, you know, special times. And this year, what happened? Everyone knows what happens. I'm not going to introduce you, but this is a picture of me and my team, the United VJs on the top. We all have these silly filters. We are VJing in Brazil, everyone in their location, streaming to the US and performing on a virtual reality dome. So it was crazy and it really happened, you know. And finally, one of the other stuff that I would like to show you, it's the dome. Should we go to my dome room? Because, of course, we are in the Dome Council. We need a dome. So let's see how it goes. 1, 2, and 3. Look at that. I'm in my dome. Very, very, very big dome, as you can tell. and I can also VJ some of the content that I have been doing all these years. It's me mixing the faders now, and a little show that we did for Texas, South on Southwest, a dome on South by Southwest, which was pretty interesting to do. This is Confusion, the one of our first shows many years ago. And I can even VJ now with all these things, you know, but better not get too excited. Should I play some music, Mickey? And we start the party? No, maybe that's not the time. What I would like to finish off for my last few seconds, it's with augmented reality. Is this reality? Is this augmented reality? This is a little filter. As you can tell, I have way too many time during this pandemic to fiddle around with all these technologies. So yeah, I'm really hoping to watch these augmented realities filters in the world of FullDome. So thank you so much for listening to me. I hope everything goes okay with the Dome Festival, and let's go.
Thank you, Pedro. That was amazing as usual. The muted microphone people all gave you standing ovations. And you see them clapping. It's fun to listen to you, to be involved with what you do, and I really honor the way you get involved in a very human and artificial intelligence, and it's human intelligence and artificial intelligence and augmented immersion. So yeah, probably we could all watch for hours to his dome home in the depths of Brazil on the beach, except that we want to give everybody a chance to contribute, to listen to their story, to hear their views and visions. So it's now a great pleasure to introduce you to Kelly Francis, who we know already is kind of placed in a beautiful mandala somewhere in the Arizona desert. Kelly, can you show yourself and unmute your microphone?
Yes, hello. Greetings, everyone.
Very
Greetings
good.
from the Southwest USA.
Great. Kelly, can you try to up your volume a little bit or come closer to the thing?
Absolutely, I can do that. I can speak
Excellent.
louder too. I am the daughter of a hockey coach.
So Kelly, I met at an Immersive conference maybe some lifetimes ago, and she's been shuttling between Germany, Italy, the rest of the world, and now she's speaking to us straight from the heart, straight out of Arizona. Kelly, take it away.
Arizona in the Southwest between here and Los Angeles has become my primary home, and then I spend the summer times in Europe. What I'm actually surrounded by right now is a physical sculpture. I would be in Ticino with artist Penelope Margaret Mackworth-Praed, actually making a FullDome piece of this sculpture right now if it weren't for the pandemic. So we'll have to push that off to another time. This is actually a sculpture made of mirrors and geometry. It's lovely, and it's mechanical. You can physically move it to adjust. It's called Spyglass. I'm going to share my screen now with everyone for a little presentation. Set my timer. Much of the FullDome world knows me and my work for the production that I've done. I've been living in Los Angeles for over 13 years and involved in big, major mega dome projects, flexing a lot of technology. We had to really shepherd and push technology along to try to catch up with what the artists could envision and wanted to create. And I cut my teeth producing large-scale events, working with all kinds of technology, projection mapping, LED screens. I've been very fortunate to travel the world. And I started in Los Angeles running a movie theater. My big question was, why do we limit entertainment and interpretation of art to a square? And I set out to break loose from that square. I wanted to take documentaries and transform the way we interact with them. I wanted to push a call to action. And not many people know, but I'm a performance artist myself. So I moved to Los Angeles. I started working at this film lot at Vortex Immersion Media and broke into cinema. This is our little dome where I started. he did mostly corporate gigs. And I was very fortunate to work as a producer and develop shows that have been able to travel the world successfully and show that there's money to be made and conscious creative content to reach the public. As mentioned, I'm a performance artist, so leaving the city was a big move for me. I'm now out in Arizona where I can put more time into the sentiment behind a lot of the work and the pieces that I'm working on. I've collaborated with hundreds of artists over the years, and United VJ shout out, hey. And moving back to the desert is getting back to a place where I can work on pieces that help inspire a return to nature in people. And that intersection of humanity inspiring us to treat the world better is really the core of any of the passionate work that I do. And you can see, why I moved back to Arizona. It's just beautiful here. I'm not surprised that I went out into the world and became a visual artist upon returning and seeing all the beauty around here. I'm a part of fighting to keep our skies nice and dark. And here are a couple of stills from the second FullDome project I'm working on. It's a story of spheres. Returning to my hometown in Arizona, I've become painfully aware that a lot of the history that's been written in this region is incorrect. A lot of the indigenous, for example, don't have their stories documented accurately in history. And so I'm out here in the Southwest desert to try to bring this technology to the hands of Native Americans so that we can document stories in nature and stories that have been around for thousands of years passed on orally in this medium. I've returned to studying art, sculpture, tactile elements, stone. This is my mentor, Margaret. And last summer I spent some time with a theater company so that I can leverage up my knowledge when it comes to set design. We see how impactful this big technology is in surrounding people with pixels. And I'm hoping, like everyone here, to bring more and more interactivity and performance into the dome. And I'll end on another picture of this sculpture. That about does it. Let's see how to stop sharing. So here I am in the Southwest. I'm working on two FullDome pieces. One is a storytelling of spheres. The second is transforming the sculpture that I'm in right now into an experience where everyone around the world can climb into this maze of masqueraded mirrors. And I'm looking forward to my return to Europe next summer once things open up a little bit more. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Kelly, for showing this impressive list of immersive activities that you are immersed in yourself. The fact is, from the many things that you mentioned, you still missed out one thing. And I'm very happy to introduce Kelly as my co-author for an amazing chapter in this groundbreaking book. It's called The Handbook of Research on the Global Impacts and Roles of Immersive Media. It's so heavy, I'm telling you need both hands to carry this handbook. And Kelly and I, we co-authored a FullDome manifesto, which we believe is something that the FullDome world needs. So thank you for that contribution. Thank you for your amazing art, and hope to see you soon somewhere in the globe on spot with your art. And we have now the great privilege to move to Robert Koch, as he would be pronounced in Germany. Some, as we've learned, call him Robert Koch, but I think he should present himself in his own voice, his own name. Robert and Delia last year gave a magnificent double feature concert at the Jena FullDome Festival, which blew everybody's mind. And so I guess, Robert, that's a great way to start your story. So
Sure.
It's all yours, Robert. Hello.
Hey, thanks for having me. I wasn't going to share my screen, but I'm going to try to do it anyways, because I'm not sure how this is going to work. Let's see. Can you guys see that? Perfect. Okay, so I created this FullDome AV performance called Sphere. This is what I presented at FullDome Festival in Jena last year. Or was it 2 years ago? I don't even remember. This show was co-created with Michael Le Goff. He's a very talented visual artist, originally from France. We created this show in 2018. It was supposed to be the visual representation for my album of the same name. But it kind of became its own thing. So just a few words about myself. I'm a composer and producer. Have been working on many records and releasing on different labels for the past 10 years, or actually 20 years, to be honest. Under my name, under Robert Koch, I've been releasing for 10 years. So Sphere, which was originally going to be the soundtrack or the visual representation of that show, just became a very successful touring FullDome piece. We, Michael Le Goff and I, who's the visual artist, actually ended up playing a whole world tour of planetariums with it. It started out in Berlin in 2018 for the Red Bull Music Academy Festival. We had 3 sold-out shows, and from there on, yeah, it just kind of unfolded to a global world tour of planetariums. I took it to Immersive in Columbus, Ohio, which was great. I made a lot of new contacts there with Dan of Immersive, who you probably all know. And from there, we took it to Mutech Festival, to the Satosphere in Montreal. We played Barcelona Sonar Festival, planetariums in Chicago, the Adler, the oldest planetarium in the US, as well as Moscow and many other cities. I can't remember all of them, but it was a big success, and it ended up winning a few awards too. Best FullDome visuals, best FullDome film, etc. And the Downtown LA Festival, etc. Can you guys even see this thing I'm sharing? Okay, good. So yeah, this was the Berlin premiere in 2018. This is a little overview of where we played. Yeah, the US, LA, San Francisco, Las Vegas. We actually licensed the show to a lot of domes, from LA to Hamburg or Berlin, which is sad because now with the pandemic, all of these licenses are off or on hold, more or less, with the planetariums being closed, but we hope to continue that as soon as it's possible again. Yeah, these are some of the awards the show won. And right now, these are some pictures. Right now, I'm actually working on the follow-up show for Sphere. So Sphere was more of an abstract narrative, and the new thing we're working on is going to be more like a real film, still done for FullDome, but also for VR and maybe even for 2D consumption. Unlike Sphere, it's going to be a shorter piece. Sphere was like a 45-minute immersive abstract experience. And the new thing we're working on is going to be an actual narrative. We work with a film producer in LA because we're going to need some funds to pull it off. Sphere was a fully out-of-pocket thing where we just invested our own time and money. But for the new one, we want to, yeah, just step up our game a little bit and see what else we can do with this medium. Visual identity, these are just some representations of sci-fi movies both Michael and me grew up with, and we took a leaf out of that book in terms of the visual, you know, mysterious, dark, and sort of pushing the envelope a little bit. Well, I could go into more detail, but I think I'm running out of time. So making of the visuals, all of this would be a nerdy thing to go to get into, and I'm sure it would be interesting for some people, but this is part of a larger presentation, which I could do, of course, but not in this short time. So I'm just going to rush through it, show you some animation and modeling that went through all of this, the physics simulation that's behind it, because we really took a lot of natural inspiration that went into the presentation of Sphere. The the shading and the rendering, of course, something that was very important to create something organic, because my sound is very organic and has a lot of texture in it. And I always wanted Mikael to kind of capture this in the visuals too. So he spent a lot of time creating visuals that were, of course, immersive and all CGI, but not looking clean or all computer generated necessarily, but still having some texture and like grain and beauty to it. All right, thank you so much. If you have questions later, we can, of course, dive into more details.
Okay. Well, thank you, Robert, very much. I'm very pleased to hear that Sphere is not the end of your immersive involvement, but rather the launching pad from which now more activities will explore that realm. And that's exactly what this is all about. It's also important that people realize that it may be cool and just absolutely breathtaking to be exposed to a FullDome show, but there's a lot of work and data crunching with 4K upwards. And yeah, so that's also good to remember. So I'm thrilled and happy and honored to move now to Delia de France. Good friend, she actually grew up in the vicinity of the Jena Planetarium. Maybe that has influenced her life unconsciously. And I'm also glad to introduce her to be a key figure in the liquid sound immersive music scene. Pedro has mentioned that he came to Bad Sulza, to the Toscana Term, to the Liquid Sound Festival. Now, Delia is a regular to these festivals, and she would have been kind of the headliner for the Bad Orb Liquid Sound Festival had the pandemic not said, no, you have to go virtual, you have to go immersive, you have to be streaming it, which we're doing now. And I'm so very happy to open the stage for Delia de France and listen to her story from how to grow up in the Jena Planetarium, go around the world, be famous in LA, and come back to one of these amazing festivals. Delia, take it away.
Thank you, Mickey. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to see a couple familiar faces. I think, Pedro, we have been playing together the Liquid Sound Festival.
Yes, I remember it was.
You know, I don't know,
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
couple of years
of course.
ago, and it's good to see Kelly. You look amazing. I haven't seen you in ages. So I am not necessarily per se a dome artist. I'm a musician. I write, I produce, I perform. But as Mickey mentioned, I have been performing for the Liquid Sound Festival, and I had the honor to perform at the FullDome Festival last year, which was actually my first show in the Jena Planetarium. I grew up in Jena, and I did always wanted to play there. So thank you, Mickey, for making it possible. And I was supporting Robert Koch for the Sphere show. Unfortunately, I don't have a fancy presentation like you all, but I will show you a couple of pictures if I can. So yeah, for me as an artist, as a musician that's working very visually in my artwork and in my performances, I've always done that. Playing in a more immersive space like the planetarium has been super interesting and challenging too, sound-wise, I have to admit. What I did for Robert's show was me just playing on a piano, singing, and having night sky over me, which already is such a different setting for an artist that is used to just playing on a stage, and as Kelly said, just on a like rectangle basically, because it gives it another dimension, but then it's still quite intimate in a way, but it gives it a kind of depth. And in the planetarium in Lucerne in Switzerland, we even did a performance with dancers, which was also quite interesting. For me, it's more exploring how can I bring my medium together with this medium, I love to work on the edge of technology and performance and installation. And I'm at the moment, I'm working on a kind of, it's a sci-fi narrative. It's actually more of a movie, sci-fi movie, that has to do, that evolves around the idea of AI and humankind interaction. And I'm thinking about not doing a movie, but more doing more collaborative project, inviting other artists in and expanding into different genres, because the whole idea is very, I mean, the whole story is very, involves a lot of technology, and I think that leans itself to producing something immersive, or inviting artists that do immersive stuff, or do AR, VR installations, performances, applications. So yeah, for me, it's more a way to express visual ideas.
First of all, you are an artist who creates depth and intimacy. And I think this is very important, that the dome is not just big razzle-dazzle flashing lights, but it can be total focused on very sensitive, touchy, personal moments. And for this, I really honor your art. If you figure out while others present how to share this material, I mean, now you teased us with the possibility of seeing that. Maybe in the Q&A round, we give you a chance to do that, okay?
Yeah, great.
Thank you,
everyone.
But first, please everybody thank Delia for, for sharing, sorry, very good. And who's next? Next is Sven Meyer in Hamburg. Sven Meyer, also famous in the dome world with his schematic shows. He's been to the Jena Festival and been to other planetariums. And I think the theme of visual music can be beautifully illustrated with what he, I hope, will now tell us what he's doing. So Sven, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Wow, guys, I'm impressed. It's so amazing what you do. It's fantastic. I'm just, wow, Kelly. Whoa. And Robert, we Malte Hagemeister connects us, you know?
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah,
remember.
and Sebastian, we the whole time we want to talk and we just don't talk. Yeah. Oh God. So it's for me a very big pleasure to meet you all. And yeah, welcome in my little sound laboratory. I will show you quick what I do. I make sound visible in a little installation, and this is the installation. I just have to put my computer now. This is a little camera, and a little speaker. You can see it a little bit, yeah. And on the speaker, there's a little water bottle cap. And now when I take a microphone, I can talk to this speaker, and then you see the water shaking, and maybe there's a better scream too. When I make long notes, like long tones, like oh, and you get like mandalas, and it's a science. It's you can I don't need the microphone more, but yeah, it's a very simple installation, but you can make fun with this. You can I make some music with plants. I do some electrons to the plants, and then the plants give me like signals, and I make music with this. I will show you a quick. It's working now. This one, maybe you can see this one. I do different shows in art festivals like the Art Basel in Hong Kong, or design weeks in Milano, or this was in France with a long night of light, the Nuit Blanche, in the big church there. And we make big the big stream for whatever. What you can stream it everywhere, and for FullDomes, it's working too. And yeah, there I make with a theremin. I make the magnetic, go to the magnetic field from the theremin and make music with this. And so I have fun and make some experience. This was in Berlin for the playground, for the photographers' playground. And yeah, it's very simple. Mickey, you asked me last time when we talk. I will show you this. I do it for the museum, for the German Historic Museum in Berlin, the Beethoven's fifth da 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 da. We make the. You can see. Maybe you can hear. Not so good, but this is Beethoven, and you can make any tone and any frequency visual. You can see any tone in the water sound picture. So the geometry from the sound and from the frequency goes to the vibration from the water, and then you see what you hear actually. And this is, yeah, there's some information in water. Oops. Okay, maybe this is not so good working, but this was in the FullDome on the Nordic Film Festival, and there we have, yeah, the music with plants. And this was amazing because, yeah, the stream was on top, 360 degrees, and the audience was very relaxed. And I make music for sleep. My biggest applause is when everybody sleeps after my show. So it's different to other musicians. And yeah, it's amazing to have this big stream there. And yeah, that's my work. It's a science. It's that you can when you understand it deeply how it works, then it goes very deep, because the structures that you see, you have in every cell, you have the structures like the flower of life, like the geometry where everything is growing, like plants and humans and animals. Everybody has the same architecture of life. And so this is a lot of fun to play with this and make music, especially that looks good in water. So yeah, that's a lot of fun to do it. And yeah, it's amazing to have these pictures around you, and everybody is chilling and, yeah, relaxing, and have to look up what I'm doing there, and then it's working good. Yeah, guys, I don't know. This is the mandala. Okay, how I stop this? Okay, and yeah, that's it. That's in the moment. Actually, I can do so much shows because nobody does shows. But we plan for the next year some shows in big parks where I can do music with plants, with live plants. They grow there, and then we make maybe with the orchestra, make the whole thing visible, and you hear the plants. The plants are very good musicians, and because they give you random sounds, and it's a lot of fun to play with the plants and, yeah, make the whole thing visible. And yeah, I can tell you for 2 hours more, but I think my time is up, and go on.
Thank you. Thank you, Sven. Thank you for bringing the plants to life. Thank you for bringing water and sound into one coherent whole. And since it's been mentioned, I can't help adding that, of course, what you make visible in the water images is what I tell people who are immersing in the liquid sound pool, listening to underwater music.
Yeah.
They can then get a sense of, okay, my body consists of 80% of water. So all these beautiful patterns They're happening inside my own body and in the water that I'm diving in. And I think it's an incredibly powerful tool to understand that these vibratory patterns are not just art projected in a dome, they are art at home in your own body. So this is science of the future and of the present. And I do hope we see more of your interplant communication work maybe next year in Jena, when the Botanical Gardens, which is just adjacent to the fair,
that would be
very conveniently placed,
that would
we can have a plant dome collaboration. So thank you very much, Sven. Keep up the good work. And we are now moving from Jena to the almost sister city of Weimar, and I want to call up my colleague, friend, and partner in university and FullDome Festival, Kate Ledina.
Hello, everyone.
She says hello, that's good. Now, just for you to know, Kate and I, we both teach immersive media at Bauhaus University, and we both struggle hard to make the FullDome Festival success. And we thank all of you to help us make the FullDome Festival a great success, because it's with people like you that really bring the juice out of the genre. And now, apart from being co-hosting, Kate herself is an immersive artist, and she's been doing a lot of immersive theater and music theater in the Dome. So I think it's time for you to tell what music theater in the Dome is all about.
Yeah, well, hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. I'm a filmmaker and media artist, and I don't have a fancy presentation or anything. I just want to talk a little bit about what we do with our students. And Nikki already told you we teach together at the university here. And that's also where my journey started around 5 years ago, I think. Yeah, around 5 years ago. Because when I came to Weimar to study media art and design, the first class I joined was actually Mickey's FullDome class, and that's where everything started for me. And now we teach together. And what I personally really love about teaching here is that we don't only produce FullDome films with our students, but we also focus a lot on immersive theater. So that allows us to combine different aspects of media art. And the students get a chance to work with even more accomplished professionals from different artistic fields, like musicians and actors and dancers and other performers. And we've always focused a lot on music visualization, or visual music as we call it. And we all know how important sound is in film, but especially for me, at least in immersive art, because if you want to imitate life, or if you want to create a completely new world where you want to immerse yourself in my opinion, you have to spatialize the sound, and that's what we've been doing and what we've been focusing on, not only guiding the audience regarding the visual cues, but also with the sound. We don't use a stereo sound. We always try to produce at least some kind of spatial sound, like a 13.1 spatial sound. And we've also collaborated a lot with bands and the music school here, and even orchestras, actually. For example, in Cirque du Bauhaus, that was one of the biggest immersive theater shows we did with our students last year. We had an orchestra on stage, and while the orchestra was playing on stage, 14 musicians or something like that, you could see the visual interpretation of the composition in the dome while they were playing. You could see every single instrument somewhat visualized in the dome. And that's what the students did. So we always try to find new ways to combine the FullDome stage with the dome, and not only through music, but also through dance and interactive costumes and light and, of course, acting. even interaction with the audience and props and stage design. So everything you also know from theater. And another example, what just comes to my mind is that we, for example, had a dancer interacting with objects in the dome, and the dancer was seemingly moving them around. So for me, it's always interesting that immersive theater kind of is an expansion of the dome even. And we always try to push the limits somehow. So for example, our newest experiment is Cool Commander, which is a FullDome series, one of the first, or even the first FullDome series that we tried to produce. And it's kind of crazy that we tried to do it in a couple of months without any money, without the manpower to do it, without even the time, because series usually take a couple of years to develop, and we didn't have a showrunner or anything. We just did it ourselves with a couple of students and media artists that started out in Weimar. And now we just try to push the limits and experiment, and that's what we do. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, and maybe we can talk about immersive theater later after your presentations. And yeah, that's what we do here in Weimar.
Thank you. Thumbs up, hands waving. Just a few remarks to the technology behind it. So spatial sound basically is a system that allows the 64 individual speakers that we have in the planetarium to be grouped in 13+2 channels, which allows acoustic objects to be traveling around the dome and do what nature does. I mean, if some noise comes from there, I look over there, and when it comes from behind, from the garden, who knows, if we have a bear or something attacking us, then the roar would make me turn around. Luckily, there's no bear so far in our stead. But anyway, these are just elements that just make the toolbox of immersive artists just pretty awesome. Maybe it's the toolbox is much too big to be handled by individual artists. This is why we love collaborations. That's why we love artists talking to each other to find out, well, how can we enrich the art? And as it's been said many times, I think we all are interested in pushing the envelope. Yes, but what's the envelope? I mean, the envelope usually is a rectangular flat thing, but we imagine, of course, the envelope to be a holographic something, artificial reality object that's floating in space, and we push it. We definitely push it.
We break the box.
We still are very fortunate to have Martin from Denmark join us, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have him here, because through a good friend in Frankfurt, Jean Trouillet, he's been promoting Den Sorteskole, this artist group, for many times. And now I think it was in the beginning of this year, we finally came to the conclusion, hey, we want to invite Den Sorte to the Jena FullDome Festival, which was then scheduled and planned for May 2020. As you all know, that didn't quite happen the way expected, but shortly before the lockdown happened in March, and who knows how much we are locked down at this moment. In March, Den Sorte did an amazing concert in the Katharinenkirche in Frankfurt, where they performed their Refracto show and had an awe-inspiring light installation, which luckily our friend Pedro Rodolfo Ramos recorded with a 360 camera. And now we are at the brink of being able to see Den Sorteskole in the Jena Planetarium. But we have Den Sorte live in Denmark, and we will have their show broadcast live to the planetarium, visualized here as you can see, this is very, very courageous, envelope stretching art. But we have Martin, and so I ask Martin, please tell us more about Den Sorteskole, what you do there, and how you feel about being an immersive artist within 24 hours.
Thank you, Migi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. And thanks for all the presentations. I'm not a visual artist, and we've never worked in a FullDome, so it's been super inspiring to hear that this is really a big field, much bigger than we thought. And I hope this is just the beginning for us. So, as I said, we are not visual artists. We are two guys, actually. We are a sample-based composer duo based here in Copenhagen in Denmark. We've been working for more than 15 years, performed all around the world. We've done classical symphonies with big orchestras. We've done big industrial installations in Beijing. We made audiovisual concepts, concerts in the Elbphilharmonie, at fusion festivals, all kinds of stuff. We used to do more normal concerts, but have actually been focusing on immersive art, audiovisual concepts for the last 10 years. And I think you can say that we moved away from the screens into more full-scale light installations and generative interactions between light and sound, and are now moving back to the screens. But luckily, in the field of the FullDome, which is a next level venue for us. We haven't really released music for the last 5 years. There's many reasons to this, and one is that we make these big pieces and they are made as live experiences, and they can't really be translated into regular formats or platforms. The other reason is that we are making all our music from samples. I'll talk a little bit more about that. We were really looking forward to Jena. Now we cannot be there physically. This is one of the setups where you can actually enjoy while you're in it. Usually it's going on behind you. We will be streaming from Copenhagen the sound in 6 channels, so it will be a Dolby spatial experience. Short about our methodology. As I said, we are sample-based, and our methodology is quite radical in the sense that we use only samplings, and samplings of released recordings from the last 7-8 decades of musical history. We would typically use a couple of thousands of samples in a 60-minute piece, originating from maybe 200 releases from 50 different countries from 8 different decades. So it's this super weird and parallel universe hybrid of something that is all out there in our common treasury, but then again, when it comes together, it forms something that really doesn't really reflect or sound like anything else. It's weird to say that about your own music. Everybody tends to think that their thing is so unique, so it's better when somebody else presents it. We have some dogmas that we work from, which could be seen as something that restricts us, but we find it as very positive creative barriers to work within. One is we use only samplings. The next one is we sample unused material. So we have to find the stuff that has never been used in this world of sampling. We sample from as many cultures and countries as possible. And this is getting a little bit more tricky in these times, because one could say that this is the ultimate appropriation of musical cultures. And it is, but it's not one minority culture being pulled into a dominant. Our aim is to erase the fundamental concept of origin and difference, and look for the similarities and all the ways that music can be brought together in an expression that crosses time and space. In that sense, our music has no genre either. It's kind of, we're two white male on stage, which is often a little weird when you listen to what is coming out of the speakers, but we are kind of like a ghost orchestra with musicians playing together across continents, music from the 20s, the 40s, the 50s, from last month. So why are we so attracted to immersive arts? I think that basically for us, it opened the space for what is allowed artistically. The idea of a concert normally is very restricted. You play your tracks, people dance, people rave, people clap, then you play another song. And to be honest, most people want to listen to their favorite tracks. We wanted to get out of that and basically made a contract with our audience where the only expectation they have when they come to it in sort of school performance is that the experience is totally new. And basically, I think you can say that in other art forms, people, they don't go to the museum to see paintings they know. Some do, when they visit Amsterdam, they go to see a specific painting, but usually in other areas of art, you would go there to get an experience that you couldn't imagine before coming there. This is very different in music. And there's many reasons for that. A lot of that is industry. But we wanted to break out of that, and that's been very fulfilling for us. I think one of the really interesting things with playing seated shows is that it allows you to work with a much wider dynamic range in the experience. You can go from very silent, very slow, almost painfully long passages where you test people. You can take them into very unpleasant territory where they don't want to be. You can really push their limits with rough and as I said, unpleasant areas to be. And you can be much more weird when people are locked to their seats. And I think this leaves us as artists with a very great freedom, but also a very big responsibility. And this is within these in this continuum that we are trying to work. It almost became a criteria of success for us. Before, we would be very focused on people having a good time or dancing at our concerts. Now we are very focused on people leaving our concerts with mixed feelings, maybe even not even knowing if they liked what was going on. So that's become the new criteria of success for us. Our latest piece, as you referred to, Miki, is called Refracto. It's made together with the visual artist group called Vertigo in Copenhagen. It's an interreligious piece where we've based the music on samplings from spiritual and religious music from the last hundreds of years. And the visual part is made of a physical installation with LED sticks placed all around the audience and mapped laser that hits mirrors around the buildings, and a generative system where frequencies of our sound feeds into a visual engine. Refracto, the interreligious piece, will also be the starting point for what we are preparing now for the FullDome. And this time the visual element is completely out of our hands. It's made by a guy called Pedro that I think is working with the Jena FullDome, and that's kind of really nice for us to leave the sound with him and then sit down and see his interpretation of it. I'm really looking forward to it. That was my my words.
Well, thank you, Martin. Thank you. Great to have you here. And to not get confused, we love to work with Brazilian people. We have Pedro Zas here right now in the panel. The Pedro that will join you with this visual live mix is Pedro Rodolfo Ramos. Yes, now for the audience who is watching this at this moment, we are on November 21st, and it is only a few hours away from the moment that the Dan Sorte live stream will come live from Denmark, and will be joined by Pedro Ramos' live visual mix in the Dome, which is then streamed in 360-degree out in the world, which is kind of our contribution to support the great courage and work that Dan Sorte brings in from their audio background, and also their preparedness to cooperate with Pedro. Luckily, you both have met when Pedro recorded your Refractor show in Frankfurt, so you're not totally unfamiliar. It's not a gamble. It is a focused collaboration of dedicated artists stretching their envelopes, to come back to that theme again. So thank you very much. We've heard everybody in a statement, in a magnificent show of work. And I don't know, Kate, how do you feel? What's the first question that comes to your mind that you want to ask any of this group?
I want to ask Kelly something, because you've been around for such a long time in the field of immersive media and the FullDome world. How has this community changed in the past years? And because you've also worked with so many artists, have they maybe changed their approaches of what kind of content they want to create?
That's a really great question. You know, when I started working in FullDome about 10 years ago, you met a lot of pioneers who were forging ahead with their vision and having to drag the technology along with them or innovate the technology. And now is a really exciting time, as Robert and some others have found here, because there are venues that can actually house what we can come up with conceptually. The technology is easier and a little more in the background, and you can actually climb into expressing something that's a lot more difficult to express, which is flat surfaces. This is like a new age of cinema, and it's cinema all around and inside out, and we can take our interpretations of the world around us and get closer to transcending those interpretations to other people. The way I've seen artists change is in having more space to be expressive, instead of literally spending hours or days or years getting stuck with the toolkit, getting stuck in the technology. I think that this is going to be a very exciting few years in front of us, where we see things that some of us here haven't even imagined yet are possible with this FullDome media.
Great. Actually, I have a suggestion, if you don't mind. Kelly, now that you are on the unmuted microphone, do you have questions to anybody here in the group that you want to learn from them or hear more about? So I'll pass the torch from one to one.
Sure, sure. I do. I'd like to pose the question maybe openly and see who's most impassioned to answer. And the question would be, what is one of the most fantastical things that you've imagined producing in a dome that hasn't happened before, that you'd like to see in years to come? Is there anyone eager to answer that question?
I mean, me as having worked the least with Dome, but still also dreaming up lots of crazy shit. I would like to see, I think this will come when we move from the screen space into a more holographic space. So I think a mixture between having the dome and the projection, but mixing it up with holographic, real 3D I don't know, it's not projection, it's a hologram basically. I think this would be something dripping from the ceiling into reality, kind of. That would be something I would like to see.
That kind of interaction is happening more and more, and it's really exciting that augmented reality is catching up with it, where not only will we have actors throwing lightning bolts up to the dome, but audiences that can interact with generative art and holographics that are going to be coming.
Yeah, I can add a little bit on that. I think, as everyone knows here, holograms, it's a thing from the past. It's a fake, you know, everyone knows that. But forget about the holograms. There's the eyeglass, whatever Apple or Android they're doing, the glasses, you know, that we can see augmented reality. That will be an amazing add-on to every media. Call it the dome, call it the video mapping in your TV home, whatever, you know. I think the possibilities are immense. So yes, I totally believe on the hologram side, but with the use of a glass, which are coming $300-400 in the next few months. So imagine how will that change our narrative, okay? So you can take the dome with you home all the time, okay? So you go see your show in the dome, but then you can go out of the show with the show in your glasses. So I think that will change a lot how we'll tell stories.
Actually, I wanted to ask, because how do you guys think, that's an open question to everybody, how do you think that this pandemic affected the immersive media field as a whole? Because it surely did, especially with our festival, for example. I think it wouldn't have happened as fast to stream such a festival live as it did because of the pandemic. But how do you guys think it changed FullDome itself? Or did it change it?
Well, I think we're living in the future already. You know, I'm living the life I should be living when I'm retired, you know, living on the beach, making stream shows. I'm like 20, 30 years ahead. That wasn't in the plans. But I think it's the same for every media, you know, the possibilities of streaming that has opened it all up, you know, for the virtual reality domes. Everyone here has had experiences with that. Still not monetizable, but, you know, because the pixels are low, the connections are not good enough. There's always some technical hiccups, but, you know, we're getting there. I think it's the foundations of a bright future.
Yeah. And how has it changed production-wise for you? Did you have to change anything, or was the equipment, was it there? Did you just have to make different use of it, or did you have to buy a lot of new things?
It totally open. For instance, the background I'm showing, it's my software, FullDome VJ. So, you know, I just found out a lot of things that I can do with my software that I wouldn't even imagine that I would use, you know, like I'm doing a Zoom conference using my software, which is for projection domes, for a background, a virtual background, and I'm actually VJing with it, you know, and yeah, that didn't change much, but I miss the dome. That's something it has changed in my heart. It's like getting not very nice. I'm dome sick.
I do wish.
I want to chime in here. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Kelly. We spoke at the same time.
I was just going to mention that I do wish that mobile dome production studios were just a little more cost effective, and each of us here could have one in our backyard right now. That's all I'm going to add. Robert?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so for the project that I hinted at, you know, the follow-up thing to Sphere that we're doing, it's not only because of the pandemic, but it also made us shift gear in terms of not just imagining it for the dome, but also for VR and possibly for other applications. So I think, yeah, immersive media, of course, the dome is an amazing venue for it, and I've come to love it, you know, and appreciate it a lot. But I think this pandemic makes us think what else we can express, or how else we can express immersive content, even outside the confines of like a seated audience, you know. So that's something to take in consideration. And I'm also, you know, a lot of my shows have been canceled, of course, this year. And one of the things I wanted to do was an immersive sound installation with a company from Berlin called Kling Klang Klong. And we also had to shift gear and sort of reimagine the whole thing as a virtual reality app, which we're doing now. And, you know, there's like immersive headphones too and stuff. So it just makes you embrace technology differently. So I just want to see it as a, not to give it a silver lining, but there is, I guess, a little bit of it.
Yeah, I guess this pandemic has made immersive media more accessible to a lot of people, but they still are missing the tools, I think, because when people want to watch our festival, many of them do not have glasses at home, or Google Glasses, or even Google Cardboard. So I hope that's going to change as quickly as everything else, so they can enjoy it in the way that it's intended to be watched. Yeah. Robert, I wanted to ask you, how is music, composing music or sound design, how do you approach, or do you approach it differently to composing music for two-dimensional films?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I had to learn during the whole Sphere project that, you know, mixing for an immersive environment is a whole different ballgame. And I had the pleasure to work with a friend of mine, John Handicott, out of LA. He does a lot of immersive sound stuff. So we mixed it together, and I learned a lot in the process. So we mixed it in actually every kind of format you can imagine, because we wanted to have the possibility to downgrade or upgrade depending on the venue, because some of the venues have a 5.1, others have more elaborate systems, you know. So we just kind of made discrete mixes for all possible scenarios we could run into, which was a lot of work, because you kind of have to reimagine it differently. And we used his setup, which was only 5.1. But then there are tools that can sort of project how you would do that with 30 plus speakers or something, you know. And when I was artist in residence at the Satosphere in Montreal, that let me, 2 days before the show, that just let me mix the whole show in that actual dome on their, I don't know how many speakers they have behind that dome, but it was a lot. And that's actually fun if you can have the opportunity to mix for that specific venue. Because one thing I ran into with Sphere was that oftentimes the bass is too heavy on many of these systems, because they're only used for, you know, like exploratory shows for kids or whatever, you know. They're not very bass heavy, they're vocal heavy, they're narrative of how the universe works or whatever. So when I come in with my like sort of club approach to it, oftentimes, you know, the bass bins were distorting, so I had to kind of remix it in soundcheck and like take down the bass, etc. So it's a work in progress, and it's a learning by doing. But yeah, it's very different from mixing for 2D speakers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely is. It has more. You have more opportunities to play around, to try different things, but there are also challenges. And Delia, you said that the sound can be quite challenging in the dome as opposed to other locations. What did you mean by that?
Well, I mean, that's probably different because I played as an artist would play on a stage. And yes, as Robert mentioned, the system is not made for playing certain frequencies, especially low frequencies. And for me as a performer, it's hard to play on the planetarium systems because the delay, and with the monitoring, hearing myself and singing, performing, there's such a huge delay. It's crazy, and you really need to have certain kind of gears like in-ear monitoring. And to be honest, the best show I played was in Hamburg, where they had a separate PA just for playing live shows, because the sound setup is just not really made for that. Except you just play instruments, if you play instruments and you can hear the instruments like a piano, like trumpet or whatever, that would work. But if you have to amplify, you it was tough. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never thought of that actually.
Because the shows have their, like Robert's show has the sound mixed specifically, and it runs through the system of the planetarium, right? It's not, it's different. So
yeah, I
Actually,
understand.
I just want to say one thing that I found interesting, because we mixed it in third order ambisonics too, apart from like the 5.1, 7.1. A lot of planetariums that have this system installed don't know how to use it well. And I'm not going to say who, because I know, Mickey, of course, you have it all dialed in on the sound side in Jena. But some of the bigger planetariums where I thought, you know, they have this whole Fraunhofer technology, etc. And then they were like, yeah, we're not using it. You know, we're just doing the 5.1. I'm like, why? You know, is it like the technician of the night that just can't be asked to go the extra mile? Or, you know, so I found that to be a bit frustrating, that you want to actually, speaking about pushing the envelope, you know, like you mixed it in third order ambisonics, and then you have to play 5.1 because the local sound tech doesn't want to, you know, work any harder by hooking it up or whatever it was that didn't work that day.
That's a shame.
Yes.
Audio is still one of the greatest challenge when it comes to producing a show and touring that show. Of course, there's visual adaptations you have to make from venue to venue very often, but the surprises they're both talking about are the greatest challenges, hands down, I personally experienced as well.
Audio, yeah.
It'll catch up.
Hopefully soon.
Yes, with artificial intelligence, it's been seen. If you have a sensor and you move around, the sound beam moves away from you, so avoids feedback. So, you know, I think we all have to look at those algorithms that Facebook and Instagram uses for spatial audio.
Martin, how has it been for you? Because you said this is your first, or one of your first FullDome experiences or dome experiences. How has it been for you to get to know this world? What's different?
I think the big challenge for us right now is that we are not going to Jena, so we can't really experience it. It's very abstract when you haven't done it, and I get kind of uneasy when I hear that the sound is super tricky, because we will leave the signal, and somebody will have to bring it to the finish line in Jena. I trust that, but usually whenever we do big performances, we would use nights and nights on location, mixing. When we do a symphony with a big orchestra, we would spend a week mixing every night, preparing all our amplified layers and adjusting them every day according to the live rehearsals with the orchestra. The same when we play the churches and the big cathedrals in Denmark and Europe. We spend a week of production making sure that we really use and play with the room. So the FullDome is our first, in Jena is the first one, so I don't really know what to say actually. I'm just really sad I'm not going there to spend those nights. I think it's also the most beautiful moments of our work is when we sit at these venues 3 o'clock in the night with our sound engineer and the local people and slowly connect our ideas to the specific venue and unfold the vision. But I would like to ask a question because to the other artists, because my guess would be that working in the dome is very, very easy and alluring to work with effects and the big wow. And how do you balance that with the deeper ambitions of telling a story? I think we've really moved with our visual collaborations. We've moved to more abstract scenographies that leave more space in the minds of people to understand and explore what they experience. And I would be worried to enter a dome and just be blown away for 10 minutes and then I'm kind of done. So how do you actually, how do you attack this both on a sound and a visual level?
I mean, I can just share that with Sphere, one thing, because we were aware of that same problem, it's very overwhelming because you play with the nervous system of the audience and it's easily overtaxed, you know. So one thing we did was playing with dynamics, just like a musician would, you know. So there's moments that are very bright and very, you know, immersive, but then there's also dark moments and quiet moments, you know, when you can almost hear the person next to you breathing, you know, and it becomes very intimate, and then all of a sudden it becomes very, yeah, you get sucked into the screen again. So you just play with the ups and downs of this, and you can shrink the place to like a minuscule, like whatever, like tiny place, and then you can make it epic again. So I guess if you work with orchestra, of course, that's a very dynamic thing, you know, and I would probably suggest approaching the dome similarly, you know, just like working with the dynamics and less is more sometimes, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah, I like to add to this because it's a key question that is also key what we try to teach to newcomers in the dome. It's alluring, it's tempting to get everybody excited and into hot adrenaline ecstasy. But I mean, people like me, they're a little too old to just sort of sustain that level of adrenaline for a whole night. So our ambition is not to say, or not to define the dome as the hot adrenaline dance floor, but to say it's a realm of indefinite possibility and the necessity to create a dramaturgy that leads people from deep pain to heavenly joy, to suspended in questioning the world and God and myself, to finding a connection to nature, to spirit, to the people next to you. And what I noticed and was very moved from hearing from so many of you, you may be so far ahead in your tech vision, but there's an underlying need and desire really to say, to honor where we are all born out of nature. And if in our technology age, we kind of overlook and ignore the connection to nature and in the broadest sense to spirit, then all this wonderful toolbox is just shallow bullshit. And so I think the real deeper commitment that I see many artists bring into the dome is to find approaches and find languages, visually, auditory, in the performance, that bring the audience into a sense of connection on a different level, on a deeper level than they would in a club, in the movie theater, in a gallery of common design. And so I think, of course, that's a high level to aspire to. But I mean, this is why it's a planetarium, and the planetarium is kind of aspires to the stars, and so do artists in their way of trying to express what they have to say. I don't know if this was an answer or a question, but it was definitely a response to Martin, what you were saying.
Mickey, actually, I totally agree, of course, because we work with students and artists of the future, and we want to encourage them not only to think of FullDome as a purely visual art form, but for creating stories and experiences that we can't normally experience. For example, we once had a student, she created a film that let you immerse into the mind of a schizophrenic woman. And it made you hear and feel the voices and struggles that person has to face on an everyday basis. And I think this medium is made tell those stories, because it doesn't just tell those stories, but it makes you feel them. So I hope we can encourage our students and also artists from all over the world to work more like that, not only in abstract visuals and forms.
I think this is very well said. And I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, it's great to hang out with you. And it's sad that we only kind of wave to each other's avatars. But at the same time, there is an intimacy in talking like this, in being together like this. I like to kind of invite a bit of a closing circle and ask each one of you in a, say, 1-minute statement, where do you see you and your immersive art 10 years from now? The year is 2030, and obviously we're all still alive somehow. We manage that. But where are we going? Where will we be? Where is the future drawing and pulling us towards? And as is the usual tradition now, I'll ask Pedro to open that call. Pedro,
yeah, thank you very much, Miki. What a great question. Where do I see myself in 2030? Actually, I have done my retirement period now, you know, so for the past few months, and probably it's going to look like 1 or 2 years. So I envisage myself always working until my physical strength can carry a computer. It looks like a computer is going to be inside my brain, so it's not going to be very heavy. So I think between glasses, contact lenses, augmented body functions, and all those sorts of things that seems like a sci-fi movie, but it's actually reality today, in 10 years will be overwhelming, you know, like call it meta-humans, call it a bit of Avengers, sci-fi movies. But yes, I think we are heading towards our cybernetic bodies, and the domes are there for 100 years. It will be 110 years, and they will be there for 200, 300 years. So the actual architecture, it's there. They're not going to bomb them. So, you know, those spaces will always be reused independently of what technology we have at the time. So whatever it is, I will embrace it.
Good. We'll embrace it too. Kelly, where do you see yourself, me, us in 2030?
Well, I'm looking forward to an international network of domes that have really superb facilities, being interconnected and really strong by that point. I personally hope to be touring the world with FullDome forests of endangered species. I'm hoping to take different climates from place to place with mobile dome systems to get them to people who live in remote areas and might not be able to access visual knowledge of the world around us. So personally, I hope to be touring especially forests of endangered species and different ecological climates around the world myself. And I'm especially looking forward to the fact that now we can choreograph experientially these types of happenings that people can have affected down to the nervous system, wholesome experiences. The technology is impressive, and these next 10 years, I think it's about the storytellers and the artisans that are going to take this medium and bring it to people in a way where you can actually have a transcendent, transformational experience in the dome. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing more and more.
Thank you, Kelly. Robert, the year is 2030. What's your resume of where you are then?
Good question. I'm going to piggyback on what Kelly just said because of the nervous system. And I mentioned it earlier, like playing with the nervous system of the audience. I hope I will be creating films or experiences that are inspiring, but also healing in a holistic way, because I think there's a lot that can be done that isn't just entertainment or just like wowing in like a special effect kind of way, but has like a deeper resonance with us, connecting us to ourselves and each other and to nature and all that. And I think technology can really play a big role in there, especially if there's a narrative behind it and like an author that has a message to tell, you know. So I hope I'll be able to tell a message that can sort of, you know, connect and resonate in that way in the next 10 years.
Thank you, Robert. Delia, we all know in 10 years' time, you'll be as beautiful as you are now. What's your art like then?
Yeah, I mean, same as what everyone before me said. I think the idea of immersiveness will become even more immersive with all the technology moving on, and the idea that you can bring empathy and compassion to people all around the world and make them experience what other people feel or how nature feels, and to move people. I see myself as someone who likes to move people emotionally, so to enhance that would be very interesting. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now, getting empathy with other life forms. Sven Meyer, you're already doing it. You're already communicating with plants. They grow, as you will do too, in 10 years. What's happening from your side, from the climatic side?
Yeah, I'm totally with you. What you said before. I'm not so deep in this technique thing. I need partners to realize something, but I definitely try to show everybody that we are all connected, and save nature is saving you and us. And yeah, it's great to bring nature and humans and machines together, or take the possibility to have the machine to show how beautiful nature is and how beautiful everybody is. So yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yes, the beauty of making unheard stories visible is visual music with plants, animals, indigenous voices from the past, from the future, from the university, from Kate.
Yeah, actually all of the above, everything that you guys said. I hope our community will grow even bigger, and that in 10 years time we will see each other again and work together again. And Mickey, who knows, maybe we will be teaching at the university still in 10 years. You as a FullDome grandpa, I don't know. Who knows what's gonna happen, but I think it's going into the right direction. And yeah, we just have to do our best to bring our art to everyone. And I hope that people will still go to the planetarium, but not only watch everything virtually online.
Yes, very good. Thank you for nominating me honorary grandpa for the future. It reminds me that a great native friend, Tom Bluewolf, he says, well, we can be so thankful for our ancestors to have created a bloodline that made us survive all these difficult centuries and millennia, and that we should be aware that we are the ancestors of the future. So when we are up there and beyond honorary grandpa, looking down from the next 10,000 years back to what's then, of course, we hope that children and grandchildren find a livable future and find expression for their art, for their desires, for their passion, for their fears, for their beauty. And last not least, Martin, you already collected, or you've been diving deep into the voices, unheard voices of spiritual traditions of the last couple of decades. What do you see is your path for the next 10 years? It's the year 2030, and we hear from Martin.
I think that I hope that I'm actually not able to articulate or even conceptualize what I'm doing in 10 years. That's been working really well for us so far. I would never have guessed that I would be here if I looked back where I was 10 years ago with this project. And I think that, or I really hope that I'm not able to conceptualize this at this point. I do think though that we are entering a time where we have to stop producing the amount of content that we're producing. And I hope that in 10 years, we will all be producing one masterpiece a year and not engaging in super many tours and productions and all this, because I think there's a very, very big lack of understanding of the artists' relations and contribution to the way the world is going. And I don't think that in 10 years we will have the technologies that can give us a free pass to keep overproducing like we are now. So I hope in 10 years we will be more focused on really getting to the core and having that one time a year where we present this work and really do a transformation for people.
Thank you very much. And I think this is a great way to close, to honor the unarticulated articulation of the unknown, which we all embrace and push not each other's button, but embrace and enhance each other's envelope, invite ourselves and audiences in. And I'm really happy that you all contributed really from the heart to this council. And I thank you very much. We definitely want to meet again. And I'll take your suggestion, Martin. Let's do it annually. Let's do it in Jena and see how far the envelope is pushing us.
Thank you so much, Mickey. Good job.
Thank you, everybody.
For everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. See you in the dome.